this is what we call the code-driven development. We give training to companies, and at DrupalCon, the next one being in Munich 2012. So in August, there will be a pre-conference training by Novel. Our focus today is about automating Drupal development. It's 4 steps. At least we will be seeing these parts. How to automate your code retrieval, downloading code for your website, how to automatically install your website, how to automatically push configuration to your website. This is mostly about features, and it will not be a fully fledged introduction to features, but you have plenty of stuff on our website about features and best techniques for using features. And the last part will be about automating testing of everything. So let's start with the first step, getting your code, getting the code for your Drupal site automatically. As everybody knows, there's a large set of components for any Drupal site. You have Drupal core, you have modules, and those modules can be standard contributed modules, your custom modules, patched modules. You have themes, external libraries, and you have your installation profile. All of these together build a Drupal site, but they do not come from the same place. You have a lot of stuff coming from Drupal.org, but you might have stuff that lives on GitHub or that lives on your private server. And you're looking for something that allows you to automatically download code and build the code base for your Drupal site in a maintainable way. The tool is Drush Make, which is now part of Drush, the standard way to interact with Drupal through the command line. And Drush Make is now a Drush command, no longer an extension. And the idea is to create a ready-to-use Drupal site, pulling sources. So you will give one command and build your website. And you will describe your website in the most natural way, that is with one text file. This website contains core, this version, views, this version, and you should apply this patch and download this library. This file is a single .info file and is executed with Drush Make that will download everything contained there. And as we will see, it will do a lot of additional tasks over it that will make your life even easier. So as a first approximation, Drush Make is a code downloader. It can download code for you. And this is a very minimal Makefile where you only download Drupal core. So here I download project Drupal and version 7.7. And this will, when I run Drush Make on this Makefile with a target directory, it will just download Drupal core and place it in my standard directory. So far, everything should be rather simple. If I want to download a module, there's a syntax for it. To download a project in general, it could be a module or a theme. And I specify where to place it and its version, and the name, of course, in the array, and then I run Drush Make. The -- no core option is just a technicality, meaning that I'm not downloading Drupal, otherwise Drush Make would expect to have to download Drupal. And it downloads our views module, and we get everything related to it. Then getting a little bit more complicated, Drush Make can apply patches. And it is an extremely convenient way to apply patches, because you track everything in your Makefile. I don't know if it is readable, but here you see project Drupal and the specific version for Drupal, and then a couple patches that we need to apply to Drupal. So yeah, we are patching the core, which is inherently bad, but we are doing it in the best possible way. It's perfectly traceable. It's even more traceable because when you run Drush Make, actually, you have this flow. So it downloads Drupal core, then it tells you that it's patching the core, and then it generates the patches.txt file for you to keep as a reference of what has been patched in Drupal core. It couldn't get better. I mean, if you really need to patch core, then this is the smartest way to do so. Why is it the smartest way? Because if you go back here, these patches are taken from Drupal.org. So if you are a reasonable person, you will follow those issues, and you will know where the patch is integrated into core, and that means that you can remove it from your Makefile, of course. So you have full traceability of patches and their workflow and everything. This holds for modules too. This is just an example for Drupal core, but it would be exactly the same for a module. Then it supports recursion. And this is an extremely powerful tool. Basically, every time Drush Make downloads something that contains a Makefile, it will parse and run it. So you needn't put everything in one big text file for your website. You are allowed to put components together with the module they belong to. An example will make it clearer. We have this flex slider module. This is a real example from Drupal.org that depends on a library that should be downloaded. If you look at the code for flex slider, it contains a flexslider.make makefile, which in turn will download a library. So instead of asking the user to manually download the library, this module ships with a makefile that can be parsed and executed by Drush Make to download the library and place it in the correct path in your Drupal tree. Now, if my makefile says that I want to download the project flex slider, meaning get the module flex slider on Drupal.org and download it. This is my personal makefile. Then you see here, it starts by downloading the code we've seen before. It finds the other makefile that will actually download the library, and it proceeds to downloading the library. So with one command, I've done something that was under my control, meaning I am not the maintainer of the flex slider module, and I'm not supposed to know immediately what are the dependency of flex slider, where they should be placed, which specific version should be downloaded. But the flex slider module maintainer already did everything for me. I merely had to put in a makefile the fact that I wanted to download flex slider to get all its dependencies. And then you see recursion here. So this modules contrib flex slider would be what I started to download, and the library's flex slider would contain what the flex slider module makefile was asking for. Another interesting feature of makefiles is inclusion. You can include in your makefile another makefile, a remote one, usually. So here you see everything is empty except that we include this makefile from a Buildkit, which we will describe in more detail later. This will just get included and parsed as it was a part of our makefile. Buildkit is actually meant to be used this way, and it is an extendable distribution, but actually a reusable Makefile. It will contain standard patches to Drupal core, standard meaning meaningful patches if you are working in a distribution-oriented way, and a selection of modules that everybody is using, like views. It would be redundant if you had to specify that you want views for your website. It is extremely likely that your website will need views. So here you have a selection of modules. It's another Makefile, not the same one we've seen before. Selection of modules that are kept updated as a Makefile for convenience to site builders. So having a closer look at Makefile, at Buildkit Makefiles, we have two Makefiles. The first one is called distro.make. That is kind of a standard naming related to distributions. And this is Drupal core with possible core patches and a link to download the second Makefile. Then it gets parsed. The second Makefile gets retrieved and parsed in turn. And you get a selection of common modules from Drupal.org. So you really get started fast. It's, you have a zero startup time for the usual project setup that is downloading Drupal, downloading the modules you will always need. Here you see the two Makefiles. And okay, the distro.make, the first one is downloading through Git something that contains the second Makefile. It would be a complete installation profile containing this second Makefile. Your project should use two Makefiles too. So you will have a distro.make that will take care of downloading Drupal core, possible patches, exactly like the Buildkit one does, and a link to download another Makefile, your myproject.make. This myproject.make would include Buildkit Drupal.org.make, that is the common modules, and everything else you need for your website. So in detail, this is what happens. This is your distro.make. You run Drush Make on it. It gets parsed. It downloads Drupal core, possible patches, and a package containing your installation profile and another Makefile, your myproject.make. In turn, the myproject.make gets expanded, and you get modules, including the Buildkit modules, and themes and everything you need for your website. So in one command, you really get everything done as far as your code base is concerned. And we solved the first part, that is getting your code automatically. Just note that with this setup, you will use Drush Make for the initial setup of your website, but it is highly recommended that you keep your Makefile updated with any changes you did. Meaning, if I start developing a website with views 3.2, and then views 3.3 is released, and I replace it in the code base of my website, then I should replace it in the Makefile too. I should always keep the Makefile aligned with the actual code of the website. So if we are okay with step 1, we can move on to step 2, that will be automating the installation.
Okay, so far we saw how to get the code for our Drupal site. So in a really quick way, just one command line, and you're basically up and running with your code. The next thing is, of course, you need to install your Drupal installation. And you can also automate this kind of procedure. The installation of Drupal site is taken care by the installation profile. Installation profile is that component that contains all the instructions for a Drupal site to install and being ready to be used or being ready to be developed upon. All of you must have seen this screen. This one is the starting screen of Drupal. The first thing you do when you install Drupal 7, you get this screen. Okay, so you usually get the first two, standard and minimal. What you're going to focus is the third one. So my profile, my project profile. This is what actually contains all the Makefile we were just seeing before, and also some other logic and glue code to actually make a raw code base a running Drupal installation. So what this installation profile component? What are the installation profile components? So let's see the content of my project profile, as we call it. My project profile, so the installation profile of my project contains well, my project info file, the install file, the profile, and then the two make file that we saw before. Installation profiles in Drupal 7 are a bit like modules. So if you are familiar with modules, you know that modules comes with a .info file, which is like just a manifest of your module. It lists the dependencies of your module, the core compatibility, description, the name, packaging, etc. And in the same way, profiles can specify their dependencies into their info file. By specifying dependencies into the info file, the installation profile will take care of enabling these modules at the installation stage. You can also perform install task into the .install file as the same way you do it with your modules. So you have like a hook install that you can run and perform some operation, as well as updates. You can run also updates in your profile. You have as much as you have a .module file, you also have a .profile file into installation profiles, and there where you put some glue code to alter forms and make installation procedure much more user friendly, for example. And you can include eventually Makefiles, like in our workflow. So the two Makefile distro and my project .make. Let's have a closer look to all these components. For example, the .info file, it looks like this. You have the name of your profile, the one you see in the first screen when you install your Drupal installation. There you have the dependencies. You have core dependencies, so like, I don't know, the book modules, the file modules, etc. You have got also contrib dependencies. These dependencies are the ones that you eventually download using Buildkit, for example, by including Buildkit into your my project.make, or other dependencies like features, etc. All these modules are going to be enabled at the installation time. You can run hook install as well into the profile .profile file, and this hook is actually used to, for example, to enforce some configuration that you want, some initial configuration that you want. For example, enabling a custom theme. So in this way, when you install your site will come with your custom theme and not with the default Drupal theme. The way to do that in Drupal 7 is like that. You can also alter the form that the user is presented with to start the installation, and you can add pre-fill some fields to ease a bit the installation procedure. In this example, we just pre-fill the name of the site, admin account, username, and email, the site email, for example, etc. And you get this changing. When the user installs the website, gets those changes there. So what it just does is just inserting the password and press OK, next, and it's ready to go. What you can also do, you can also expand the installation tasks of your profile. If you see here, you see on the left, you have like those checks. Those are the installation tasks of the Drupal profile. You can add some custom installation tasks there, and Drupal will run those. Run those at installation. This is a very useful place to perform some initial configuration setup, because when you actually run those installation tasks, you can assume that all the Drupal site is already installed and all the dependencies are enabled. So you can do stuff like, for example, well, creating taxonomy terms, for example. You want to ship your website with some default taxonomy terms that you may want to use in your context or as part of your configuration. Then you can do that into the best place to do that into the installation tasks. And once you do that, you can then have solution, client, and use case terms ready to be used in your platform. Another good point of doing this here is that now you can assume the numeric IDs of these terms, and you can actually use them into your configuration later. For example, as reaction to a context or this kind of stuff. So this is all part of the automation of the installation procedure. This is what we get when we install the Drupal site. You see? So we just run our installation, and there is the proof that our installation task creating taxonomy term has just got run. And there you see also a pre-filled form. So the user just has to press next and enjoy your Drupal site with your theme, custom theme enabled in the hook install and all your configuration. Well, what we did at Null, actually we created like an internal extension of Drush. We use it just internally, which is called Drush Make. Because what it does is essentially it bakes for you new websites. It's very handy, and we include it in our workflow because with just 3 command lines we can launch new websites and ship them and start to develop, having like a platform that we can start to develop upon. What we wanted is a way to be ready to develop in really 1 minute. So a way to package the code, the latest version of modules, etc., with 1 command, and you can do that using Makefiles. A way to have installation profiles that is familiar for us, that has all the components we always use in our projects, and a way to make it really easily installable and ready to be developed further. Okay. The best way we found is the simplest way. So we use installation profile template. We call it a starter profile. We have several templates depending what the project is. For example, for an NGO site, we have like an NGO starter profile. For I don't know, an event site, you have an event starter profile. The profile, as you saw, ships also with the Makefiles, as you see here. Okay, and those Makefiles are actually in charge of downloading also the codes. So by having like some 2 or 3 templates, depending from the kind of project you want to bootstrap, then you can really automate this stuff and be really, really quick. For example, this one is our generic starter profile that we use. Well, if you want to have a look to the repository, that's the content of it. So it's a normal profile. So it has distro make, starter make, and then the starter info, install, and profile. Let's have a closer look to the content on this installation profile template. Well, this one is the distro make, so it's very, very simple. What we do is we just include Buildkit distro.make, which has all the dependencies we want in our installation. It has the Drupal core, patch the Drupal core that we want to use, and we don't need to take care of maintaining this make file. We just include it directly from the Drupal repository, as you see there. So Drupal core code.org/ etc. And this is very handy because we don't need to follow actually the issues where those patches are attached. They do, the maintainers of these modules do, and when the patches is included in the core, they remove it from the Makefile. So we are actually always up to date with the latest core and the latest patches to the core. So what we do, we just include this distro.make, and the only thing we do is we include our starter profile. Okay, the starter profile is an installation profile which will take care of downloading all the rest of the modules when Drush Make will parse recursively the myproject.make as we saw before. This is a bit tricky thing, but yeah, it works really, really well. The starter.make is our project make file, and also includes the Buildkit main distribution.make, which has all like the modules we use, so views, context, boxes, and etc. Apart from that, of course, we also want some modules, but very few we need actually, because we more or less everything we need is to start to develop is in Buildkit. So we may include like, I don't know, the coffee module or some theme. Actually, our base theme is called Twist, and we always use it, so we include also that. Our install template looks like this. It just enables our base theme. Well, it's very easy. And then what we do, we just run Drush Make. We point Drush Make to the distro.make of our installation profile template, and then we say, okay, and generate an installation profile called My Projects. Okay, so with just one command, we actually generates my project. What it does is just a smart find and replace, very easy, very simple. It just works. So it's going to, replace starter with my project in the proper places. You have an option where you can actually specify the name of the string that is going to be replaced, like starter can be NGO, can be anything. Like this, you generate, or by running this command, you generate like your starting installation profile, which is called my project now. And you can see all the files are renamed correctly. Internally also the strings are renamed. So you will have like here my project there. Also notice that also the Git repository has my project as a repository as well. This is of course our internal convention. If you want to do something like that, you need to adapt your workflow. It's a tool for internal workflow. So another stuff is when we also have like an extension called Git Nuvole. What it does is just pushes to our repositories, to our servers, a project following a lot of conventions. We work a lot with convention because automation and convention they go very well together. After that, we are ready to just execute and build our project. So you just do Drush Make, my project profile, distro make, my project, and this starts to parse everything. You can see that the first steps are actually very important. You say, okay, I download Drupal 7.12 from Buildkit. I apply the patches. Then it downloads my project profile that we just committed from Git Nuvole, my project profile, and that it finds in that profile my project.make. It starts to parse the inclusion from Buildkit, downloads all the modules, downloads our modules that we want to include, like the coffee modules, our theming, theme, etc. And we have all our code base ready to be used. The next thing we do, we just press install, and then we are ready to go. We can start develop. So to recap, is you can bootstrap your project following, of course, your internal convention, which you should do if you have a Drupal shop, with just 3 simple commands. So you bake your profile, installation profile, you push to your repository internally, and then you just run Drush Make, and you're ready to install your site. It's a very handy thing, and it enables us to actually scale, even if you're a team of 2 people, to scale up to around 5 people maybe as a team. Yeah. Okay, so for the moment we have seen how to get your code, how to install your platform, be ready to just rock it and develop on it. Another thing is the configuration. I mean, what is really important is reusing configuration that you do all the time in your Drupal site. For example, how many times have you created a page content type with a menu and a block there, or how many times you have created a news feature, I mean the news section of your site where you have like a block news with the latest news, a page that lists all the news and this kind of stuff. You want a way to also to reuse this configuration across different projects, right? Because then it gets really fast. Of course, a website without configuration, even if you enable your theme and you enable your modules, it's just a raw website. You don't have anything. What we want to do is also to have some components of our project ready to be used and to be extended. So there is also a way to automate site configuration, and this comes with a feature module. Well, feature module is well, we say the best way to package configuration so far. As we saw in the previous presentation, Drupal 8 will have an alternative to this, or complementary, let's say. So, but by now, I mean, from Drupal 7, features modules is the way to go. Well, it's a Drupal project, it's a module, so you can find its project/features. What is a feature? A feature is a collection of elements of configuration that satisfies a certain use case. Think about it as boxes, okay, of your project. You have the news section of your project. The news section is a bunch of configuration. You have like your block, news block that you want to put on the home page. You have your news page listing all your news. You have your views, your content type, your fields. This is all satisfying one use case, one user story, if you want, of giving the people possibility to publish news on your website, okay? This use case can be packaged into a feature. So a feature is a modular piece of functionality, and it can be exported in PHP code, and it can be seen as a module. It's actually in a form of a module. So a feature is actually a module that you can enable, and more important, you can share, including Makefiles and putting in all these workflow automation that we are seeing now. So what's the situation now with configuration in database? When you work on your Drupal site, you create configuration. You create your context, and you create a lot of views, content types, image style, presets, etc. Okay, this is the situation of your database. You have all these components vertically by modules, let's say by UI, and you can see all your context, all your views, etc. What we try to do is this: to separate them by use case and package them as modules, which are features. Because like this, we can reuse configuration across several projects and enjoy the usage of codes. So how you create a feature is very easy. The feature module provides you with a very easy interface. You just give the feature name, version, etc. You choose the components, like you want to export these variables, these views, this context. You download. You click on download features, and the features modules will package for you all this configuration in the form of a module. What you get is really a tarball that you can just include in your modules directory and enable, and you can get this configuration into the new project. Okay, this is how it looks. You get everything from feature modules apart from feature core.make. This is our way of using features that we are going to see in a second. To see what a feature contains, you can just look into the info file. And the info file is a kind of manifest for as much as for modules as for features. So apart from the dependencies that are proper of a module, you also get well, the section of features which describes your components. Components means configuration, so your user permission settings, your views, your variables, etc. A feature can also have a .make file too, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. Because imagine when you build a feature, so meaning you are building a module that holds configuration together, these modules depends from external modules, okay? My modules could depend from, I don't know, panels, for example. But panels is not included in my make files of my starter profile that we just seen, okay? So I don't want to analyze seeing which features I'm going to use and then say, okay, I need to this version of panel, and then I have to include in my make file, then to build it and retrieve when I do Drush Make, etc. We can also put this information where it belongs, so into the feature itself. Because as we have seen, the Drush Make is a recursive, does recursion, so it will parse this make file and download these dependencies for you. So you can really make a feature as a self-autonomous component, which not only has configuration inside that you can reuse, but also takes care of downloading dependencies, libraries, and putting all the pieces together. So what we usually do, we include also feature.make, so in this case feature core.make. And how it looks, it just has a list of dependencies, so it tells Drush Makes where to find the modules on which this feature depends upon. And also the version, this is also important. Maybe your feature depends on a specific version of a module. You cannot download, I mean, you can also specify a specific version or a library. For example, a color box. You see the color box module, this nice module where you have the image and click, you have like a bigger image, you can scroll and stuff. And this, of course, depends on a jQuery library. So you need to download, go to the jQuery library where jQuery is, this library, download it, place in the right position where the modules complain, etc. You can automate all that by just taking care of generating like a consistent make file. By doing this, when we run Drush Make, this make file will be parsed, the library will be downloaded and placed in the proper directory, and the module will be working properly, without you remembering even that you actually needed that library. So it's really, really getting quick. So how you download actually your project, your features, the custom code you write for and you want to reuse for your projects? Well, a way to do it, you can host them on every kind of system. For example, well, a tarball is enough somewhere. You can put them on GitHub, and Drush Make actually understand a lot of hosting platform. Let's say, for example, GitHub. So you can host them on GitHub, and then you can say, okay, just download feature core, and you can find it here. It's Git, so download it as you would do with Git and place it in a proper directory under the features, the subdirectory into the modules, etc. What's the problem with this approach? The problem is that you lose track of versions. Okay, when you run an update in Drupal, you don't know which version you are up to. So if you ship a new version of your feature internally, well, this Drupal site doesn't have any way of understanding which version you have, so you cannot upgrade to a newer version. To do that, you need to add some information into the info file. You basically need to do what Drupal.org does for your for the contrib project, right? Drupal.org injects some information into the info file saying this is the version 7.1 dev or beta 5. And then when beta 6 is out, then when you run update.php or you download the newer version, then you can do it automatically. There is actually a module that is called feature servers, which is this kind of small Drupal.org for internal Drupal.org for your company, let's say. And it's a way to keep feature teams and Makefile very well organized. And we have one internally. This one is a page. There's version 6 and version 7. We advise for version 6. 7 is still not ready. It's okay. It does not matter. It's just a packaging system, let's say. So this one is our internal feature server, and here we keep all our features that we reuse across all our projects. So when we want to, for example, make a project that has news, events, and I don't know, media, then we just put into an info file. We know where to go to grab those, and we just put them into the info file as dependencies to our installation profile, and then we run the Makefile install, and we have them enabled with all the configuration that they come with. We also have installation profile, for example, hosted or themes. Twist and Young are our two base themes that we use internally. This is also good when you have when you work with external people. You can point them there, and they can read about your features. And you have issue queues, you have everything. You can really push it. That's what really looks like Drupal.org, right? You have the date release, the release, and the release notes. So this is what you should write into your Makefile. You can just point your Makefile to your feature server, just saying where your feature server is and the subdirectory where you want to store this feature. And then the Drush Make understand the same feeds, XML feeds that actually Drupal.org has, and it downloads the proper version for you and keeps tracks of all the updating and stuff. So with this, you can really automate also this part. Feature server integrates with Drush, so you can to package the new version of your code of your project. Just very easy. You run a Drush command, Drush feature package feature news, for example. It actually checks out the tags. It works on tags naming convention of your Git repository and generates it for you. So it's very easy. Okay.
Okay, so the last part is about automating tests of your website. You've seen so far a lot of magic. Magically downloading code, magically installing it, magically applying configuration, but it will not always work, and everything is still very much under control, but it's very good to introduce some automatic testing on top of it, just to make sure that this machine is working correctly at every step. Every step meaning the 3 steps we've seen, that is getting code, installing code, configuring code. And this is more like a proof of concept. If you want more details about how to use continuous integration, you should look for Hilary from Meara's slides from yesterday. There was a presentation here about how to use continuous integration, and he went into greater detail. So far, I'm only giving an overview of how we use continuous integration for our projects, but not getting into too much detail. You can use Hudson or Jenkins. It's exactly the same to our purposes, and you have 3 tasks. So here you see the 3 tasks. One is called code and will be the first step. The second is called install, Drupal install. And the third one is called Drupal config, corresponding, of course, to the 3 things. A continuous integration job is something that will automatically do stuff, what it calls a build, but a build can be something extremely generic. It can be triggered manually or on a scheduled basis, like every 5 minutes or so, or by events, like a git push or other jobs, like the first job that is testing that your Makefile works will trigger the second job that will try to install it. which in turn will trigger the third job that will try to see if features are okay. And these jobs can be scripts in Ant, but also simple shell commands. In our examples, we will only use Drush and some scripting. Here you see it's integrated with your code repository. So here it is testing this change. Change is 1, remove the hard-coded usernames, for example. So our first test is testing the Makefile. It will clone our code from Git, run Drush Make, test the profile is downloaded, and do some very basic tests. You can see the commands here. But okay, apart from getting the code, basically this is running Drush Make with the proper options, and then just testing that directories get created properly. Here's the output, and upon successful completion here, we will go on with the second step. The second step is installing the website on a test installation. And this is done by merely running Drush site install, which does exactly this task, and we will expect successful completion. Here is the output, and so Drush site install worked, meaning our code can be installed, and then we go to the third step, that is testing configuration. For this, actually everything relies on simple tests. So we use Drush as a tool to run tests with the test run command, and again, we just expect successful completion. This is the standard output, so our tests are passed, say, and this means we managed to test all steps of our automatic workflow. So automatic workflow, automatic testing, and real minimal effort for building your website. We're done. Thank you.